Hi everybody, and welcome to the Good Woo. This is your weekly woo for the week of September 11th. So we have 6 planets retrograde. And I know a lot of you who follow me, you've known that I took a big break from doing these videos. So I'm starting again where we have 6 planets retrograde. So I have no idea if I'm going to be able to be consistent with this because there's so much going on in my life, so much change, but I'm definitely going to try. And the more that you guys can let me know that these are useful for you, the more, inspired I'm going to be to keep doing them, because after all, this is for you guys and for me too. I always learn so much when I make these videos. It's pretty cool, the process. And if you're new, welcome. You can follow me depending on where you're seeing this. On Instagram, I have 2 accounts. One is the Lynn Collins account, which is more about acting stuff. And then there is the Good Woo with Lynn Collins, which is a private account where I let people in to maybe share more private or esoteric stuff. And then of course there's Patreon, which is, there's 4 different tiers, and that's where I do much more in-depth readings and teachings, and we're really trying to form a community there where we can all sort of get together and talk about what's happening in the world and what's happening with the cosmic energy and how we use it and not abuse it. Okay, so knowing that we have 6 planets in retrograde, we already know that, really we are working through this fall and this winter. Really when we get to March is where we're going to have more of that direct motion, and we're going to be able to, it's December and March, we'll be able to start launching things. But right now it may be, especially because Mars is in Gemini, just everything is going to take more than one try, or you're going to find that there's more than one option. And so it's important with that kind of energy that we do take the time to reflect. So actually, the supportive retrograde energy is good for us right now, because it's really making us look at our choices and pause and not jump the gun, which I don't know about you guys, but God, every time I've jumped the gun, I regret it. Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. Our animal ally, our totem this week is the swan. So of course we know the story of the ugly duckling, right? And it feels like it doesn't belong. It's made fun of by the other baby birds. And then one day it turns into the most beautiful bird on the lake, on the pond. This is definitely a message of the grace that comes with patience. We've just had this full moon, which was in Pisces conjunct Neptune. And whenever I'm working, with clients who have a lot of Pisces or friends, and even when that Pisces energy is strong, like it is right now, because we're just off of this full moon, faith is everything, right? That ability to let go of your need to control and to dominate the situation or the situations. Even the need to see ahead, which it's difficult to do right now because we have so much that's not pulling us to go back, but asking us to gaze just slightly backwards to see, did you learn all the lessons? So that you don't repeat some of the hard things that have happened in the last 2 years. Did you learn all the lessons? If it was difficult, do you know how to avoid those situations in the future? Or did you gain tools and knowledge that's going to help you not step in the same hole, Swan is also an indicator of great psychic gifts. There's a magical quality to Swan that encourages us to dream. And I think that's great coming off of this Pisces full moon. We have 2 weeks until we have a Libra new moon. So this is really a time, I think, to float, to glide. And there's going to be those temptations to hold and even to lash out with some of this Mars energy that's happening because it's squaring some other planets. But how graceful can you be in this time of transition? How gentle can you be with yourself when you don't have all the answers? And can you find some sort of pleasure in the not knowing? I mean, that's tricky for me. So let's work on that this week. Okay, I just want to show you bottom of the deck, fish, which of course Pisces energy, right? So it's like a double reminder for us to flow, go with the flow. Of course, maintain your boundaries, you know, but allow there to be sort of the breath of heaven between the period of time when you're assessing a choice and when you actually make it. And of course, you know, I told my patrons this in the last video I made from them for the full moon. When Mars is, and it's about to go retrograde in end of October, but we're really already in it. It's just not a time to start any sort of conflict, legal case, anything like that. Because in Mars retrogrades, people that initiate violence, conflict, war, legal situations, by the time Mars goes direct, those people are not usually on top of the situation. So it doesn't really work out well for people who start that kind of conflict. So just a reminder there that there's this, just have faith. And if you're like dealing with someone and you're like, but I you know, I want them to, you know, I want to hold somebody accountable for what this, that, by March, most things are going to have worked out where justice is served and karma is delivered, you know, that cause and effect. It's a law of the universe. So I'm going to pull an energy card. I haven't used this deck in a while, of course, because, well, I've been away from some of my decks, but here we go. Let's see. Let me just expound on this. Okay, what we have. Storm. So this is often, right, an indicator that we are moving into a turbulent time. And it may be situations that seem repetitive, meaning there could be like situations from our past which are like coming back to be resolved. But again, you know, look at this swan. It's going to glide over the top of the situation with grace, right? Let's pull another card here. Contact. So with this storm coming, I just want to talk about Mercury being retrograde in Libra. It will go back into Virgo and then, you know, go direct. When Mercury is retrograde in Libra, we are really going to be assessing our relationships. And we're also entering into an eclipse zone. I mean, literally the fall and the winter, it's just like boom, 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 boom. But I don't know about you guys, like I don't mind storms, especially after like an unprecedented historical heat wave. You know, when the storm came Friday night, I was really glad. So this doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. It just means that there is going to be great change, right? We're revising, we're restructuring, we're reflecting, we're redoing. And that means change. Again, you know, I feel like there's a lot of relationships that are going to be changing. You know, the last 2020, 2021, and now 2022, I don't know about you guys, but from my experience, like who I was at the beginning of 2020 and who I am now, I'm not sure if they could sit down and have, you know, a cohesive conversation together because there's been so much change, so much experience. And I think we're really being asked to really think about how do we truly want to feel, you know, going into this next 2.5, 3 year phase. Like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be around? And if there's relationships that are bringing you down, people bringing you down, environments bringing you down, well, now is a time to change that. So that when spring does come, you're grounded, you're rooted, and you're ready. And that leads me to, we do have an incredible amount of earth energy in the cosmic weather right now. So like, even though things are tumultuous and changing, we do have an energy that is grounding us. So sort of the antidote to the storm and the stress and all of this reevaluation is to get out in nature, you know, have a really good solid meal, get that good Z time, you know, get good sleep, take care of the body, self-care, and exercising in ways that ground you. I know there's sometimes there's certain, you know, forms of exercise that ground me and others that don't. This is a time to also like meditate so that when you're, you know, like the tree in the storm, it's bending, it's not breaking. And that mental flexibility, which is what this Mars and Gemini is requiring of us, is going to serve us long term as we start going into some juicier cosmic weather in the spring. Okay, new Oracle deck, Oracle of the Trees. Thank you, my friend Victor, for sending this to me. Let's see, what is our plant ally going to be? And I specifically chose trees because we have this grounding influence of the sun and Virgo, and we have Uranus and Taurus and Pluto and Capricorn, and they're making a triangle, which is a harmonious conversation in the sky. So our nature allies are going to be very potent right now and really help us to decompress. Ooh, we got the hanging tree. Look at that. I mean, if it's not time to let go, I don't know when is. I'm gonna actually read this to you guys because this is such a new deck. Wow, it's a lot of information. And it's representative of the full moon that we just had. So this full moon is gonna be really significant for us. The information that came up for you Friday, actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday is going to be really important. I also feel like crows are important. If you guys this week are hearing crows, I want you to think about, what did you just say? What did you just think? Because there's something vital about that. Okay. I mean, I could go deeply into the history of the hanging tree because it's, well, it's an old Norse story that goes with this, which I'm going to do on my Patreon channel for Patreon. So if you're interested in a more in-depth reading of this card, which I'm going to get deep into it, we'll be posting, well, actually, if you're watching on Instagram, you can just hit the link tree and it'll take you to the Patreon and you can choose which tier you'd like to be a part of. Keywords: change, new perspectives, different approach, spiritual renewal, right? The retrogrades, renewal. Abandonment of old habits. It's an amazing time to kick a dirty habit. And that could even be a person. Abandonment of old habits, sacrifice, effort, and commitment. Bad luck that brings good outcomes. Right? So we go back to, where's our storm card? You know, rejection is God's protection. Rejection. Part of the retrogrades, right? Again, just because it's tumultuous doesn't mean that it's bad. So you may it could be a situation this week where you're really wanting something, it doesn't happen, it doesn't materialize, but it's because there's something better that's coming. And if you would have attached to that, you know, thing A that you wanted, thing B, which is so much better, could never come in. And this goes back to this faith that you just have to glide along and let go as much as possible. Like the sea creatures, great week to get to an ocean if you're near one, or lake or river. Wonderful week to do that because that's really going to help you release and let go and renew. Renewal. I also think this is a really important week where we need to be exfoliating. You know, it's like the end of the summer. It's time to let go of the dead skin. You know, you even think about the snake, it's time to shed the old skin so that a new layer can come up. A new layer that may be more right for you or more beautiful or just gonna help you feel better. Okay, I'm gonna do one more deck, my native spirit deck. I miss this deck so much. Any more messages for us? So fun to be doing this again. I really missed it. Medicine woman, medicine man. Okay. So this is an invitation and a little personal story. So I was working yesterday because this full moon hits my chart in a very specific way. And you know, I'm doing this massive cleanse right now, and I've really changed a lot of circumstances in my life and let go of a lot and moved and, you know, ended many chapters. And I was doing some work where, you know, I was just sort of meditating and seeing what was coming up and what was heaviest in my field and what I needed to let go of. And something that came up was grief. You know, I've lost a lot of people in my life, but not just like people dying, like relationships that didn't work out, or, you know, jobs or creative enterprises that never came to fruition the way I thought they would. And I was working with this modality that I work with, an energetic cleansing, and I was about to like clear all the grief, if that's even possible. You know, I was questioning, is that possible? And then I just changed my mind, right? With all these retrogrades, lots of minds changing. And instead I thought, no, the grief tells me, the grief connects me to my soul. The grief shows me what I want, what I wanted. And even this idea of we're reflecting right now because of all this retrograde activity, the idea that even that which didn't work out is fertilizer for future growth, blooms, fruit. This card is telling us there is a deep spiritual power within you that grows out of situations that we may find uncomfortable, that grows out of confusion, that even grows out of questioning what is faith. This is an invitation to go deep. This is and the spiritual renewal, you know, it's a deep time for all of us. I would even say, like, if you're not comfortable being alone, this is a great time to learn how to get okay with that uncomfortable feeling, but to continue to work that muscle. This is also an invitation to start working on a daily spiritual practice that is going to connect you to something deeper, so that when these storms come, you can get to a place where you're like, okay, that's a part of life, but I'm going to gracefully move through them. I also think this is interesting that the swan is actually looking at itself. It's like a mirror reflection. So I'm going to actually, let's see if there's any other messages that this swan has for us, because I have a feeling there is. Effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, elegant power. So, I mean, we're getting two cards here that are inviting us to get deep into our mystical powers. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. This is also a little shout out to Mercury, who rules language, creativity, and is co-ruler of artistry with Venus. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting, which leads me to journaling has never been more effective than it is now. The more you can write with pen and paper about your lessons from the past, letting go of the past, letting go of past relationships. Like, this would be a great time to write your memoirs, right? Or to get a new diary. Remember when we were living, you have the diary that had the actual lock? That would be like an amazing time to find one of those. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time. Don't you love it when it seconds my notion? An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. When out of balance, it's agitated, snippy, and lacking vision. And that's what a lot of this Mars squaring some of these planets, and the Mars and Gemini heading into a retrograde, can be very snippy. Words that wound, words as knives, which is always the case, but now it's amplified. To bring it into balance, solo time and writing. So this could be a week, you guys, where, you know, you may need to get that sitter and be like, hey, babies, mommy or daddy needs some time to just really go within, or like tell the partner, hey, I need some alone time. I need to work through some stuff. And I think in our dreams, you guys, and this is, you know, I'm experiencing this, but also some of my clients, the past coming up in dreams, and And then those dreams kind of staying with you all day. You know, you dream of a past lover, or you dream of a past experience that may not have been great, maybe even been traumatic, and then your whole day is kind of messed up because it's happening. That is your soul calling you to process. And the best way to process, if you don't have a therapist, or even if you do, is to write the stream of consciousness. The power of connecting both sides of the brain, connecting, you know, really like heart and mind together, and writing down your feelings, your experiences, your memories, and what those memories trigger. The triggers are the diamonds. So when you're being triggered, there's your information. That's what you need to work on. So you guys, I hope this was helpful for you. I will be making a little more in-depth video for my patrons, where we will get deep into the hanging tree, because this is like really calling for the embrace of like some suspended animation that we're going to be in for the next couple of months, where movement forward, it may be like one step forward, two step backs, right? Two steps back. And this idea that with Mars and Gemini, we may have to repeat things. It may take more than once to get things right, or to get things done at all. So wishing you all so much love. I hope you enjoy this and have a really wonderful week. I am seeing new clients at this time. You can email me at info@thegoodwoo.org to set up your